Okay, so we're gonna go over how to use Camera Raw to create a mask over part of the image using the brush inside Camera Raw, and then adjusting, the lighting or the color within that mask that you created. First thing, you have your image open. Make sure that it's not locked in the Layers tab, so there's no little lock to the right of it here. And then you're gonna go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. Once you click on that, this is a movable window, and so sometimes you're going to have this little gray boundary here that says Adobe Photoshop 2025, or you can sort of see the docs in Photoshop behind the Camera Raw window. But you just want to be working in this right now. So to create a mask using the brush tool within Camera Raw, you're going to go all the way to your right of this panel, and you're going to see these tiny little docs. And you're going to go down to the one with the circle that has a little dotted line around it. Click on that. That's your masking panel. If you hover, it's going to pop up with a tutorial video usually. And so what you want to do is you want to create your new mask. So for the purpose of this image, I'm going to work on bringing the eyeshadow of this person to be more saturated and possibly a little bit brighter. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to click on the brush tool. Immediately once you click on the brush tool, you see that right underneath where it says new mask, which is the one that you just created, if you go down, there's all of the options for the size, the feather, the flow, and the density of your brush. So you can adjust those to sort of make your brush change and, change the feather as well as the flow and the density, and those are all right there. So since I want to mask her eyes, I'm basically going to drag my brush over the parts of the image I want to edit. I'm going to go really generous here because I'm just going to be targeting the reds, so I don't need to be super precise with my masking, because then I'm going to use the point color tool. And then here, same thing, I'm going to go sort of over her eyes like that. Now, if at any point you are unhappy with the mask that you've created, let's say that you think you went a little bit too big, a little bit too wide, or you just have random strokes in some places, underneath your brush you also have a little eraser icon. So you can click on that, and now you're in the eraser mode. And again, you can also regulate the size of your eraser, the feather, the flow. You cannot regulate the density of your eraser because the eraser will just completely erase at 100%. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch up my mask. Let's say that I went a little bit too much, so I'm going to erase around the edges, make it more precise. So that is a way to sort of undo the mask that you've made. Then you can go back to your brush at any time, since you have the eraser on the right and the brush on the left, and you can add to your mask again. So once you're happy with the brush, the next thing to do is that you can scroll down in this panel and you can adjust whatever you like. So, you can adjust the exposure. For example, if I want to bring it up, maybe I'll bring the shadows up a little bit, bring the whites up a little bit. And then, if I want that to be more saturated, I can bring the saturation up here. Or I can even come down and under point color, I can use this little dropper tool to select, a red. And then I can bring the saturation up of the reds. And as you can see, it only affects the reds in the eyes, because that is where my mask is. So it does not affect the red of her lips at all, because I did not apply the mask there. And now looking at this, to make it obvious, if I bring the saturation all the way up, you can tell that here my mask didn't do a great job. I masked too much, because instead of just affecting her eyeshadow, it's also sort of affecting, outside of where that eyeshadow is applied. So if I want to fix that, I'm going to zoom in first. We're going to go to maybe 200%. You can see right here, it's a little bit, outside of her eyeshadow line. I'm going to go, I was down here in point color. I'm going to go all the way back up, and I'm going to find, again, the brush. I can click on the eraser. I can go ahead and I can erase. And you can tell that sort of brought it back to the original. I can also touch up here, corner, and maybe here underneath her eye. And then, I personally think this is too much. I would never edit it to be this saturated. So I'm going to go back down and bring the saturation back down like that. Now to save your mask, all you have to do is hit this OK at the bottom right. However, this also closes the entire screen. So if you want to still do certain edits, maybe to the overall image, or you want to add new masks with this blue Create New Mask button above mask 1, just stay in the screen. You can move back and forth to the overall edit tab. You can even go to the geometry tab and back to the masking tab. And all of your changes are going to be saved at the end when you hit this OK button. So again, I hit OK, and now the edits have been applied to my image. I hope that helped, and yeah.